Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations, and welcome to our Fearless and Fabulous card hop. I hope you're having fun with it. We have several designers that are doing cards with this particular collection, and I cannot wait to see what the other designers came up with. This is going to be absolutely a fun blog hop, but this is an important blog hop as well. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October is dedicated to breast cancer awareness, and 25% of the sales of this kit will go to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So it's a really important project that we're working on. This kit, Fearless and Fabulous, was created by Jacqueline Hart of Country Craft Creations, and it has a bunch of beautiful pieces in it. I've kind of already cut them up and used them, and I'll show you the cards I've made, and then we're going to go ahead and make one in the design that I made. But you get several different pieces. You get cut aparts, you get tags, you get stamps, you get wax seals, you get card fronts, you get the sentiments in color and in black and white. And pink, I should say. Black and white and pink. And it's a really cute collection. So let me show you what we're going to make, and then we'll get on with making it. But again, links are below. Go check out the Fearless and Fabulous card kit collection. And remember that 25% of the sales will go to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So this is a really great cause. So let's talk about the cards. So I created a card kind of using a layering technique. And in the card kit, I'll show you. So you get 5 different card fronts, 2 of each of these, and then you get these pieces here. Now this could be a card front or it could be cut apart. I'm going to use these as kind of cut apart pieces. So you get all of these card fronts. You get 2 of each of these things. So what I ended up doing was doing a layering technique with 2 of the card fronts. So I basically used them, 2 of them per card, and layered them with the glitter cardstock. Now the glitter cardstock here is from Country Craft Creations, and it is, I don't see it on the website as of yesterday. I will double check, but Tonic Studios has glitter card that will work just perfect. Or if you don't have glitter card, you can use any pink. I used pink, orange, and purple. You could use cardstock to complement the colors in the collection. So I'll show you what I'm using with the card we're making. I used 2 different colors of pink, but this is glitter card that I had purchased from Country Craft Creations quite a little bit ago. Layering technique using 2 different colors of glitter, using 2 card fronts. It's popped up with foam, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then you get these cute little wax seals. So on the front of every card, I put a wax seal, and then I put one of the sentiments. So this one says Wicked Strong and has these cute little geese on there, just adorable. And then I also went through my stash, and I had some enamel dots and some gems from previous design team packages that I had not used that match this collection. So on the cards, I'm going to use those as well. And again, these are popped up with foam, so it's very dimensional. And then when you open it up, you have this cute little pop-up in the inside. Really simple, but easy to do. And this is where I used these pieces here. I cut those out and used those on the inside piece, and then I used another sentiment on the inside as a pop-up. All right, on the back, I used one of the stamps. And then for each of the cards, I put a tag with it. And with the tag, I got this beautiful ribbon, the diagonal ribbon with the pink, and I did it in the awareness ribbon style on the top of the tag, and we just glue that on. And then I'm also going to use a button from Country Craft Creations and some twine and decorate the top of the tag with that. So that can go in each card, and it can be used as a bookmark later on. It's just a nice little extra gift that you could give with this particular card. And then with each card, these are a different size card because I didn't want to cut down the card fronts. The card fronts themselves measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I didn't want to cut them down. So the cards are actually bigger than we usually make them. They're 4 3/4 total by 6. So I did have to make envelopes with these, which I did, and I'm going to show you that in the tutorial as well. And I used, I got a fuzzy on there. I used one of the other wax seals on each of the envelopes to close it, and then we'll use a little bit of score tape so that when you're ready, you can put your envelope or you can put your card in your envelope and then seal that. So that's the first card. The second card, now I have to admit, I didn't put the foam tape on the middle section, so this part here is all flat. It still gives the same kind of effect that I was looking for, but it's a little bit flatter, not quite as dimensional. So I did it as a boo-boo, but then as I was looking at it, I thought, well, this is a great comparison to show you the difference between adding the foam to that inner layer and not adding the foam to the inner layer. So you can make that choice if you want to use foam or not. I did use foam to pop this up and put pink power here, and then a few of the other gem dots that I had left over from previous packages. And then inside, this is the pop-up for the inside. It says Wicked Strong. And then on the back again, another stamp, and it says Pink Warrior Mode. I like that. And then with this one here, I used this tag that says Strong, Joshua 1:9. And again, did the ribbon and the button and the twine. So there's the second card. And then the third card is this beautiful little ghosty. And it says Beautifully Brave. I like that one. That one's really pretty. So you can see I used the two different colors to kind of complement what was in the picture here. Added a few little dots around the ghosty. And then on the inside, this one says Pink Power. And it just kind of pops up. It's a nice little pop-up. Okay, on the back, again, one of the stamps, and then the envelope to go with it. The tag for that one is Friends Don't Let Friends Fight Cancer Alone. So there's that tag with the ribbon loop. Beautiful. You can write a little sentiment on here. And again, this would be a really great little bookmark. You can put it in your planner. You can use it for all kinds of different things. So it's really nice. So let's get these out of the way. Let's start talking about the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to want is the card base. And this is just white cardstock. And this is cut so that the card is 4 3/4 by 6. So to make your own, you're going to want to cut this at 9.5 by 6 and then score it down the middle at 4 3/4 and then fold and burnish. Okay, so that's all you're going to do for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on kind of the inside first. I think it's easier to do the inside first, especially with all the layering here. So we are going to need 2 of those strips cut out. Now for this one, I'm choosing to use the boxing gloves. And one thing I want you to notice is that if you look at this real careful, these are not, the pink image is not straight. There's a little bit of a curve to that, and that's okay, but we are going to trim it down a little bit, okay? So we'll need 2 of those. I'm going to use this one for the back of the card. Again, that's stamped for the back of the card. And then I did go through and choose my banners, and for this particular one, I chose Spooktacular Courage. All right, so you have your card base, and then you need the mechanism, and the mechanism is so simple. It is 4 inches by 3 7/8, okay? You're going to take your mechanism in in your bone folder, put the 4 at the top, score at 1, 2, and 3, okay? So we're basically making 4 sections, 1 inch wide. And then we'll go ahead and fold and burnish. So I'm just going to fold in all those score lines and make sure everything matches nice and neat. Okay. Okay, so you have that. So basically what we're going to do is fold this in half. We're going to get our card. I'll move these out of the way for a second. We're going to get our card, and what we're going to do is glue that right in the middle, okay? So when we glue this, I'm going to put my centering ruler here on the side here, and the card is 6 inches, so it centers at 3. When we glue this down, it's going to be just like a 1/16 inch away from 2 inches where we're going to glue it right in the center. So then with it folded, okay, so I've got it folded, we're going to put glue on the 2 kind of end pieces here. Okay, don't put it on the fold side, put it on the part that's cut. Okay, so if we open this up, the glue is on the outside. Okay, then we're going to fold it, put the fold to the right, and we're going to go right to the score line and just shy of 2 inches on both sides. And then when I lay that down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that card over, okay, because I want it right in that crease. I'm going to glue that down, and then I'm going to open it up, and very gently I'm going to fold this flat. And then what I'm going to do is kind of re-burnish, because I want to make sure that everything lines up well, okay? So I'm just going to re-burnish those sides. So now when I have my card, it'll be glued right here, and then you have that cute little pop-up, okay? And I sized this pop-up for those little kind of pieces here for these. So I just cut them out. So what you're going to do is take your scissors, and what did I do with my scissors? Okay, that's weird. What did I do with my scissors? My other scissors. Okay, well, I guess I'll find them later. They usually turn up somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just cut the white part off. Okay. And remember, it's not straight. So I would recommend you just kind of do it by hand. Okay. And that's okay, because it gives a nice little curve to the project. And I'm just going to cut straight down. Okay. Get rid of these two pieces. And then I'm going to get my little mini cutter, because what I want to do is trim this to 3 3/4. So what I'm going to do is start here where the kind of the white goes, and that's where I'm going to cut that off. So I'm just going to put this in my board. I'm going to kind of keep it straight here, and I'm just going to cut it, and then I'm going to turn it and cut it at 3 3/4. Okay. So I have my 2 little boxing gloves cut, and then I'm going to just glue those down here. So get your art glitter glue. Very simple to do. And then just center that top and bottom. And again, the curve, there's a little bit of a curve to that cutout. If that bothers you, you can go ahead and cut them straight if you want, but they will be a little bit smaller than, it's roughly 7/8-ish. Did I do that? I did cut that not quite right. Hold on. Yep, a little too long, so I'm just going to whack that off here real quick. I will clean my cutter later. A little bit too long on that one. I'll put that down. Okay. So now when you fold it, it'll go like that, and you'll have those cute little boxing gloves there. So then I'm going to take the Spooktacular, and I'm just going to put a little glue like right on the end, right there. And then this is the flag that will be part of that pop-up, okay? And that'll fold out like that. Okay, so that is that part done. And then on the outside here, I'm just going to glue this down to the bottom. And I'm just going to center it. So this will center at like 2 3/8. And I'm going to put it here, and it will center at about 5/8 inch. Okay, and I'm putting it about an 1/8 inch up. Just going to put that there. Okay, so that's the base of the card inside done. And then let's grab the base of the card. Okay, so you will need a couple things for this. You're going to need the full card front. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I cut a piece of glitter card that is 4 1/2 by 5 3/4, and that gives an 1/8 inch border all the way around. Okay. Then you're going to need another piece of glitter card, and I chose a second color, which I thought complemented, the purples complemented this one. And so the second piece of glitter card is 3 3/4 by 5. And then you're going to take the card, another card base, the very same card base, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut 3/8 inch off all 4 sides. And when you do that, that will make this 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Okay, so we're just going to need to glue those things down. So with this glitter card, if you are going to use it, a couple things to remember. is I like to use a little bit more glue than you think you're gonna need, because you got to kind of get in the nooks and the crannies of this glitter, okay? Even though it is pretty smooth, you want to make sure you kind of get in that. And then when you lay this down, be gentle, because it will move around just a wee little bit till it sets. It does take an extra second or two to make sure that everything is good, okay? Okay, now, forgot my little wipey here. So just make sure everything's good. Getting a little bit of glitter all over the place. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna let this one dry, okay? This is gonna be that top layer, so I wanna make sure that's good to go. And then we'll do it again with this one. All right, now we're gonna lay this one down. I'm just giving it a little bit extra time, not getting too vigorous with it, because I wanna make sure the glue just kind of gets in where it needs to be. And then you can also grab your spreader and kind of just be gentle, okay? Don't get too crazy, because that will move around a little bit. But once it's set, you know, and it'll be fine, okay? So we have those two pieces. Next thing to do is to get your foam. Now, I used some new foam that I got from Country Craft Creations. It's by Barely Art. Called Cubies, and this is a starter pack, and I just recently bought the white and the black. And the thing that's cool about this is that you get squares, but you also get strips, and you have two different widths. So you have pieces that are 1/8 inch tall, and then pieces that are 1/4 inch tall, which is great when you're wanting to layer things. You know, when you're layering like clusters of different ephemera, you know, together, and you need those layers. So instead of having to stack your pieces, you can go ahead and, you know, use the two different widths, which is really nice. So I'm going to use some strips. I am going to use some squares. So I'm going to use some strips on the back of this to start. And I'm just going to peel this off. There's my scissors. I found them. Ha! I knew I would find them. I put them in the wrong little cubby in my carousel. That's why I couldn't find them. There's a scissor part of that cubby. All right, so I'm just going to take a strip off of here, and I'm going to lay this down. And I found that these are really super sticky too, so they worked really well. And then I'm just going to trim that off. Okay. Save your little nubbins, because we can use those later. Okay, so I've kind of got my little nubbin pieces right there. And then grab another one. I'm going to lay that down here. Okay. Grab another one. I love this. This is so nice. I'm just going to kind of push that up against that one. Cut that off. Squish that in there. And then my second one here, I'm going to just put this piece down here. Okay. Then I'm going to grab one of my little nubbins that I saved and pop that in that space. Okay. All right, so I got the edges done. Save my little pieces. Then I'm going to get rid of that because I'm done with that. And then I'm going to take my little squares, and what I'm going to do is I kind of wanted to make sure that this was nice and sturdy and the card didn't fall in itself. So I'm going to use quite a few, but that's okay because I've got quite a few. And I'm going to put my pieces here. Now, this is a card. I'm not going to worry so much about using the glue on my foam dots because, like I said, these have proved to be very sticky. But if it was an album, then I probably would put glue dots and make sure that everything is going to get stuck and everything's good. But I've had some really good luck using these. So then we'll go ahead and take off our tape pieces. So I did that off camera, taking off all those little pieces because that took a little bit. So then what you're going to want to do is just take your card base, and I'm going to center this right over the top, and the design will match up around, so you'll be able to kind of like have that effect of this being like a 3D picture, okay? So I'm going to just lay that down. And there you go. So you can kind of see the design starting here and then kind of popping up. So that was kind of the idea of that. And I think that turned out really pretty. So then we're going to have this piece. So I cut out this piece that says Beautifully Brave, and I'm going to make a banner out of it. So when you want to make a banner, easy way to do it is just cut up. You're going to go halfway in between and then cut up however far you want, okay? And then you go from the corner to the peak of that cut line that you make and do it on each side, and that'll give you a pretty perfect banner for your project. If you cut it all the way up, of course, you got to cut the line all the way up. There you go. All right, so there's that. So we've got that. So then I'm just going to put that here, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to glue this one down flat. Okay, and then just kind of see where you want this. If you want it off to the side, the bottom, the middle. I'm going to kind of go more middle here because I don't want to cover up those beautiful trees and the meadow and stuff. I just think that's really too pretty. And then for this, I am going to use some more dots. And on these, I just use 3. And I just kind of place them here. Let me grab this. And there's that. So we'll take those little pieces off. And then we'll pop that right there, okay? Like that. Ta-da! So there's our card front. Then this just gets glued onto our base. So let's wipe off that excess glitter there. Okay. Now the back of this glitter card is a little bit slippery as well. So do take care because it'll slide around a little bit more than if you're just doing cardstock to cardstock. And again, you should have an 1/8 inch border all the way around. So you have those nice layers going on. Okay. All right. I'm trying to hold everything down. Make sure that's set, and there's your card. Not pretty. Very simple, but lots of dimension. I love that. Now, I do want to use some sparkles here. So I have, this is from a previous design team package, and I liked the little black pieces with the gold here. So we're gonna grab, let's see, where is my craft knife? Now I lost that. I love crafting. So we can put these in, we can do all kinds of different things with them. We could do like a cluster of 3 around the witch, which I think would be actually kind of pretty, like maybe like stars in the sky. So I think we'll do that. Let's do like that. Let's do that. So we'll use 3 of these on this one. We'll just let that sit and dry while we work on the tag, okay? Yeah, it'll look like kind of like stars in the sky, right? Some really fun ones. So, there, little extra Poof. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to let that sit and dry. Let's work on the tag now. The tag, we will need a couple different pieces. For your tags, you're going to need a piece of cardstock, glitter card, 2.5 by 4 1/8. When I cut the tag out, this one ended up being 2 1/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, so it's going to have quite a little bit of pink around it. And actually, I might trim that a little bit more. Let's take off like 1/8 of an inch. So let's make this 2 3/8. Okay. I think we should do that. I think that'll make the card, that'll make it a little bit more uniform. Okay, so 2 3/8. Let's do that. All right. Then to cut the corners exactly like the tag, what I'm going to do is line it up on the side and the top, and then I'm just going to take my scissors, cut that angle, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So I'm just going to line it up with the side and the top and hold it close and just cut it off. Okay. And then we're going to glue this on. So I'm just going to put glue on the back of this tag. Let's center it. Press it down. Now, again, you gotta be a little slow and deliberate and take care when you're gluing onto cardstock that has a lot of glitter on it, okay? Just give it a little bit of time. Okay. Then we'll let it sit for just a minute. All right, now this is where you're going to need your ribbon, and I used a button and a little bit of twine, again from Country Craft Creations. So I cut a piece of ribbon that's 5 inches long, and we're just going to fold it over and create that awareness ribbon. Nice, nice. Did you guys see that? All right, so we're going to just create that nice little awareness ribbon shape. Okay, so you just take it and loop it over itself. Okay, and however you want, however's pleasing for you. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to sew this button right through that ribbon, right through where it crosses there. So I'm going to put that ribbon, make sure everything's lined up the way I want it. I'm going to take my twine here, and I'm going to just sew through 2 holes. Like so. Okay. And then we're just going to tie it into a bow. And it'll wiggle around all over the place too. So you got to kind of hold it down, but get that. Then you can play with your bow. Get that where you want it. That looks good to me. So trim. Put my needle over here. Hopefully I won't lose it. So then once you have that done, then what I did was I glued it right onto the tag, like close to the top. So I put in a nice dollop of glue and grab a clip. And I'm going to put it, I'm kind of lining it up where I can kind of see where the button is kind of even with that glitter card. And then I'm just going to let it set for a minute. And that's what I did with the bows. And I just think it's a really cute little idea to do with that ribbon. I thought it was really pretty. Now, the other thing I didn't mention is you should use like a lighter or fray check, or however you want to make sure your ribbon doesn't fray. I went ahead and used my lighter before I did that. I didn't mention that, but it's easier to do it before you do that than after you do it. So yeah, there's that. Okay, now while that's drying, let's talk envelope. All right, so for the envelope, you will need your cardstock, and you will need one of the seals, and I use the seal with the flowers in it for this particular piece. And then the envelope itself, the paper measures, let me double check my notes, 9 3/8 by 9 3/8. Okay, when you put it in your scoreboard, you're going to line it up at 4 1/8 and do your score. Okay, punch, and then when you turn it and do the next one, that lines up at 5 1/4. Okay, so we'll do it that way. Punch. Okay, and then when you turn it again, 4 1/8. Okay, I kind of already pre-scored. You probably already noticed that. Okay, and then score. Okay, then we'll go ahead and round our corners. So the envelope for this, I made a little bit bigger, on the bigger side, because it needs to accommodate all of the layers of the foam tape, okay? So it actually is for a card that is like 5 by 6.5, I think, is the size I chose, okay? So we'll fold and burnish, and then we're going to go ahead and glue that up. I'm not going to worry about cutting this tip off or anything. So I put a little glue here, put a little glue here on that edge and that edge. Okay, and then we have fold our envelope, and then we need to glue this on. So I'm just going to take my little ribbon seal, I'm going to put a little glue up at the top, and I'm going to lay that down where I want it and glue that down on that flap. Okay, then grab your score tape and my little cutter tool that I like, and we're just going to put a little piece of tape across the top so that when we're ready to seal our envelope, we'll have that tape ready to go, okay? And put our card in it. So that's all you need to do. So let's put that here. That goes with this card. So we have our Beautifully Brave, Spooktacular Courage. Love that. We have our tag here that goes with it. I think that's really awesome. And that is the end of my tutorial. So I have now 4 cards, and each card has a tag that goes with it. Isn't that cute? And then we have this one, and then we have this one here. So that is my tutorial for the Fearless and Fab-Boo-Lous card hop. I hope you enjoy it. Please go check the link down below and go get your kits. Again, they're only $9.99. You can make up to 10 cards, 12 actually, if you use the piece that has those strips in it that I used on the inside of the cards. You get lots of little ephemera pieces to go with it, and lots of cute sayings, seals, stamps, all the things. And it's really for a good cause. 25% of the sales will go to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So please check it out. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay crafty. Bye-bye.